The investigation into the double homicide continues to progress. We can now confirm that China and Lucas were the victims of gun violence.
The Dease Lake RCMP responded to a vehicle fire on Highway 37. Additional information led police to discover a body at a nearby highway pullout. Police are now seeking the public's assistance in locating 2 men who were driving the vehicle and are currently missing.
The RCMP are now considering Cam McLeod and Bryer Schmegelsky as suspects. They were last seen driving a gray 2011 Toyota RAV4 and have left British Columbia. We're asking for the public, if you spot Bryer or Cam, consider them dangerous. Do not approach, take no action, and call immediately 911.
They were sighted across Canada, and then they make it to basically a dead end in the middle of Northern Manitoba, and they're never seen again.
Everyone started locking their doors.
I couldn't sleep, especially when Billy was gone.
In that kind of terrain, you have to work with people who are experts.
In this case, about the land, that's who you turn to, is Billy.
You can't just run in the bush and run back out again. It takes years and years to actually understand this land. I've been living here all my life, and it's a hard country to grow up in. Like living off the land. If you don't do it, you'll freeze or starve. I was born in Gillam. We moved here right after. There was no running water, no electricity, just everything had to be done by hand. Try to do our best with keeping everybody together. It didn't actually change till around 85 with the water and sewer and electricity, so that was a big change. But you have to actually understand the land to know it. Like, you can't just come over here and jump in the bush and think that you're gonna be used to it. Like off the roads and all that, it's just all swamp and muskegee and sink down to your knees kind of thing, hard to walk.
It's tough terrain. It's tough terrain. And overall, a sense of security is somewhat in the community because of that. For the most part, a lot of people never close their doors, never locked up their vehicles at night. If anyone ever stole anything from this town, you have to drive 3 hours to get out of here. So we have a pretty good chance of catching you at the other end.
Right across the river here, there's a lot of berries there. So one night we just decided to go, and we were almost to the end of the road when we noticed smoke. I didn't know exactly where it was, and then he said, "Oh, it looks like it's more in Sundance, so we better go check it out." That's when we seen the high flames, black smoke, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "What's going on here? I wonder if there's somebody in there that we have to help them." I thought, and Billy said, "No, you don't get out because what if it blows up or something."
So that's when I called the RCMP right away. Then I was walking around and I seen foot tracks where they pushed the vehicle in and the burnt out matches where they couldn't start it right away. And we didn't know what was actually going on.
We received a call from our detachment commander in Gillam, and that's when we started to expedite resources and determine if this was in fact the suspect vehicle.
One of my friends texted me a picture of the RAV4, and my son texted me the picture of the 2 fugitives the next morning. Then we finally just put two together.
I just got that feeling right away that I was in shock, and knowing that anything could have happened to us while we were sitting there.
The day after they took the vehicle away, we started putting the patrol out because nobody knew where they were. I helped patrol during the day and some of the night, Then the other two guys did the whole patrolling during 6 till 6 in the morning kind of thing.
Wednesday night would have been the first real deployment of resources to that area to start searching for the suspects. So given that there is a lead time of almost 2 days at that point, where do you start looking was the question. And there are multiple access points that could take you out of that area with the railroad tracks, hydro cut lines, riverways, you know, trying to pinpoint exactly which one was a bit of a crapshoot at that point.
I was scared. I didn't know how to process the fact that there was actually, you know, people who were accused of murders like in our area. I kept thinking about it. I was like, what if they were sitting there the whole time watching us debating?
It was weird because we were there for so long and we didn't know. They could have came walking out of the bush and we probably would have helped them.
It's not unexpected, it's an expectation, I think, that Billy would do that. No different than gonna dig up the water line here because there's a leak somewhere and can you go find it, and he will.
Billy Beardy is a pillar of the community. He's First Nations, and this is the value and the principles of First Nations to share their understanding, the layout of the land. And because he's a master hunter, trapper, and fisherman of the land, he was sought out by the RCMP to assist with the search.
We relied a lot on local knowledge. They're the ones that really could point out what was off, what was different, and where they thought that there was a plausibility that these two suspects could actually go to.
The first day I actually went out with RCMP. We went downriver checking the cabins, 10 kilometers, 25 and 54 kilometers. It won't take long to float there either, so that's why we checked them.
Any cabins that we were aware of, we searched. Anything that we found as we were flying over, we stopped in and searched via the helicopter. The railway sightings, again, searched, and no indication whatsoever that our suspects had ever stopped in any of those locations.
And then next thing you know, it's the York Landing incident.
The RCMP received a tip that 2 males matching the description of the wanted suspects were seen in York Landing, Manitoba.
I was almost in shock to believe that they made it that far. I was impressed.
York Landing is approximately 90 kilometers southwest of Gillam and is only accessible by air or via a 2-hour ferry crossing in the summer.
How much time had passed since the last sighting of these 2 suspects made it quasi-plausible that they could be in the community. We deployed all of our resources to that location, given that it was the most current information that we had. When we got on the ground, we did some quick interviews with the witnesses that had potentially seen our suspects near the garbage dump. And at that point, we cleared those woods with our police dog, as well as we used our drones and infrared, and there was no indication that our suspects were in the community. So we did leave resources on the ground as a just-in-case precaution, and we continued to follow up our investigation back in the Gillam-Sundance area.
You noticed 2 extra officers in this town, never mind 60. So it was daunting to a lot of people, but at the same time, I think they felt a little more protected.
It was all about Gillam and Gillam this, Gillam that. We were only like 7 kilometers away from where the vehicle was found, and there was no recognition of Bird or Fox Lake.
I was back again. Those feelings of, you know, being scared and nervous, and yeah. And I didn't even want to let my kids play outside because we were right in the tree line too, right? I told Billy, I said, you never know, maybe they're walking around and they're in the back. We were basically on our own.
We're here with hardly any street lighting. The only thing that's protecting us is our dogs barking. If there were 60 guys in Gillam, at least they could have spared 2 for our community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be sleeping like a baby if I had that.
We based ourselves out of Gillam as it was a matter of convenience in terms of having the resources handy. And we had a significant amount of patrol traffic up and down that highway to Bryn. We were still out there searching and patrolling. It's just the bush is so dense, exactly where would they go?
Nobody knew where they were. It was kind of hard to believe. Like, I would have did everything totally different. But who wants to go in the bush with guys with guns? We told the guys just keep patrolling till we actually get confirmation. And soon they started blocking the road off right before Sundance.
We started off exhausting any egress routes to ensure that we didn't lose them out of our containment area, and then slowly close that, getting down to the finite details around the scene. The evidence that was found gave us a somewhat of a direction of travel. At least we knew that we were searching the right areas, whether they were dead or alive. It was a matter of just finding them.
Kevin was trying to refine the search to what would be the areas of highest probability for them. So the tracking team was searching in that area at Kevin's direction, and they located a backpack on the route that the suspects had taken when they fled the scene. The thing that kind of kept me up all the time was a question of, are the suspects on land or are they in the water? On Friday, we got a call from a gentleman who observed what he thought was maybe a sleeping bag near the mouth of the Hudson Bay. My first question was, well, when's the last time we flew the river? And I'd been told it had been a few days. So I said, okay, well, on the way to, I'd like you guys to fly the river again. And then that was when they located the other items, and just downstream of that, the boat in a back eddy. Just by the nature of the terrain there, they weren't able to exit the helicopter to recover those items that were located on the bank of the river.
If your boat actually stops in that area, then you're pretty much a goner. You got maybe 8 to 10 foot swales there.
Manitoba Conservation was able to provide us with a jet boat, and then Billy was willing to be the vessel operator for us.
I was with 4 officers when I took them down. We just more or less stayed in the middle of the river. Then when we started getting close, we seen the chopper hovering over the item that we had to pick up. And there's no way it could have been washed up there because the water is way too fast. So that's how I knew they were alive Friday. I knew they were there. As soon as we found the items along the river, the one RCMP actually jumped out and had his gun in the air, like just scoping the whole bank kind of thing. And if you ever been on one of those banks and you look down, you could pretty much see everything, right? If they were to just open fire and like we'll be like sitting ducks there, and at that time I didn't think anything because I was just holding the boat as hard as I can, and like could have been killed at any time kind of thing.
When we're in that kind of situation, we always want to have some kind of lethal force overwatch providing that cover for them. We have people trained to deal with those kind of threats.
I suffered from severe insomnia. I was probably only getting maybe 2 hours of sleep, if that, a night. I was just trying to cope with everything, I guess, trying to cope with watching the kids and coping with him being out there and knowing that, you know, certain things could happen to you. And to us, I said, you have young kids to worry about, and, you know, you have a lot at stake too, not just them, right?
In fairly short order, we were able to link the sleeping bag and the other bag, but we were never really able to link the boat to the suspects. We still felt the boat was a piece of evidence that we needed to bring back. That changed our scope a little bit, that we had to start doing a bit of a water search to make sure that there was nobody that had been dumped into the river. The dive team cleared that back eddy as best they could and didn't recover anything. But I now had a point downstream from where the backpack was located, so I put my tracking team back in the bush, and they were able to link that pretty much down to the Nelson River. We were also at the same time attempting to use infrared to see if they could locate any potential hiding areas. But it's impossible to deploy enough resources to do a literal shoulder-to-shoulder grid search of that area. So we had to keep working using the information I was getting back at the command post. One of the tasks that I had wanted completed was a follow-on search along where the sleeping bag and this small bag had been located. And unfortunately, I'd overburdened them with the task list I'd provided them for Tuesday, so it just didn't get done.
The Wednesday. So I got a call just to more or less take some guys out down the river.
I briefed the criminal operations officer and I said, listen, I've got these guys out searching right now. Once they've completed that search, I'm not sure what else we're going to be able to do. You know, we do have to start thinking about scaling back.
We started going by these ravines, these little ravines, and I was just looking around, like looking along the shore kind of thing. And we started getting to the fast water, so we only have like split seconds to actually see what we see. All of a sudden we come up this one ravine and this raven jumped up. Any kind of like bushman knows that if there's a raven there, he's eating something. Nobody said nothing. So I looked at that one RCMP officer behind me and did you see that? And he says, yeah. But if I didn't say, did you see that? Do you think you would have said something? Then we spun around and sure enough, as soon as we got to shore, then we seen that one guy there for sure. It was a small creek that coming out, but there were willow brush in front, so we didn't even see the other guy. Till actually we got off the shore and walked up a bit, and that's when we seen they were both there. There was a swirly wind day, so having that smell of death in here was really, like, it probably would have traumatized me more if I went to go start looking around. But just from what I heard from RCMP, there was one gun was on top of the hill, the other one was held by the one that was last shot. I was there for so long and I was waiting and I was bringing like different guys, like I did that for 13 hours straight.
He made numerous trips back and forth, bringing our forensic identification people in, our investigative teams in. And I know I had a conversation with him very briefly when I said, well, this has kind of become full circle for you because you started as the guy who found the burning SUV, and now here you are being the guy who's helped us find the bodies. So, he was an integral part of this search literally from start to finish.
I kept thinking about it. He's offering a service to the RCMP. He should have been treated the way, like one of them.
I was sitting out there like a sitting duck, like no armor, like I was with my work jacket on and everything. And
because I'm pretty sure they were wearing bulletproof vests,
yeah. But
he wasn't. So, why was he not given a vest?
Every time I put somebody on that river in a boat, I was white-knuckling it the whole time. So my concern always kind of went to the side of flotation devices. And maybe just as a result of that, I missed the opportunity to ensure that piece was in place for Billy. The impression I got from Billy is that he just wanted to help the people of his community get back to normal.
There's always a lingering effect of a crisis like this that is underlying, right? That people haven't dealt with. Circumstances beyond your control and not being able to do anything about it.
I kind of feel bad for them. I feel bad for these kids. I lost my son when he was only 16 years old in a car accident, so I know how it feels to lose a child. And they're still somebody's children. I'm gonna get emotional. They're still someone's children, and I know how it feels to lose a child. And I feel sorry for all the people, the victims that are involved. But I can't help but to feel sorry for these two young men too. You know, how, you know, like everyone has lives that are troubled, whatever. But what made them do this?
People believe that, you know, there's spirits and there's effects. When such a tragedy occurs, that you need to cleanse the land. So that the gathering there just helped all those things and to reclaim how the story ends.
Despite what is going on, and despite what has happened to us in the past, despite residential schools, hydro development, the 60s scoop, and everything else that might have happened to us, we're still here. We're still supportive of each other, and seeing it in action was really uplifting.
I just want people to know that there was a community member there when a lot of the hype was. It was all RCMP, and yeah, I would probably do it again, yes. But this time with the bulletproof vest on.